Hey, what's up everybody, and let's get ready to rumble. No, I'm just joking everybody. We do have a lot of news to talk about today, and actually happy Friday, or really just happy Splatoon 3 day. It did release today, and I'm sure a lot of you all have been looking forward to that game, so have fun with that this weekend. But yes, welcome back to News Dose. However, today we do have some more showcases to talk about because it's starting to look like both Nintendo as well as Xbox will have their own events respectively next week. Yeah, this has just been a crazy month so far, and one company that certainly knows that is, well, Sony. Sony's definitely had some PR issues as of recent, no thanks to Jim Ryan, and, well, that continues on today as they face even more backlash. I know, it's just shocking by this point, right? But before we do dive into any of that, I just want to make this very clear. I am not saying anything about their games or their quality. I will continue to say that PlayStation has amazing games. I will continue to support PlayStation because I love their games, and they've actually made some of my all-time favorite games ever made, especially when it comes to Uncharted. But it's their leadership. Jim Ryan, I'm talking to you specifically, that's where the problems lies. So don't get that confused. They've been making some questionable decisions as of recent, and that's why you're seeing some pushback from fans. And you know what? That's okay. You don't have to go out and defend these billion-dollar companies. They're all open for criticism, and just like Don Matrick being a buffoon for Xbox One years ago, I mean, he was awful. Well, now you have Jim Ryan as well, and he makes some questionable decisions, so I'll just kind of leave it at that. Disregarding this rant though, of course, if you do enjoy the video today, hit those lovely, lovely buttons below. It will make you just a little bit cooler, so just go ahead and like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Let it ring, let it ring. Let's go and get right into things, though. I know that was a little bit more of a lengthy intro than usual, but we did get an update for Stalker 2 today. We did talk about this yesterday, but reportedly, Xbox was sending pre-order cancellations to fans, letting them know that the game has been postponed to an undefined date. Now, at the time, that information was unconfirmed, but today, the Stalker 2 studio, GSC World, did respond by giving us some more information. We can actually check out that response here where they said this. We had to postpone the game to 2023 with no exact release date for now. We made the announcement at E3 Microsoft Extended Show alongside the dev diary and intro cutscene. Microsoft refunds pre-orders for the games with no exact release date. When we announce the exact release date later on, the pre-orders will go live again for Xbox. Pre-orders on PC are not affected by this. So there you have it. It's in fact not been delayed any further, and it's pretty much what I said yesterday. The way I'd kind of look at this is that the release date is fluid, more or less, which is completely understandable in this situation. This studio was originally located in Ukraine, and obviously they've been dealing with a lot. In fact, they moved to a completely different country entirely, and some of their employees actually decided to stay in Ukraine and fight. So all things considered, a fluid release date is more than understandable here, so I'd kind of say just sit tight on this one and be patient for a more official release date, which is expected to be sometime in 2023. Early, I believe, but I don't really want to put a timetable on this one. Basically, they'll give us a release date when it happens. But nonetheless, the game looks absolutely fantastic, and I am really, really rooting for this studio. I hope it turns out to be as good as it looks because, I mean, if it does, we're all in for a real treat here. Now, we also got an update for Overwatch 2, and this is actually a game that I do really personally care about. Not only is it one of my favorite games that released last generation, I put a ton of time into this game, I absolutely loved it, but my wife, I mean, she still plays this game pretty consistently. So I'm really hoping that Overwatch 2 turns out to be a great game, but I'll just kind of say this. Blizzard, they haven't exactly gotten off to a great start. It feels like with almost all of their announcements so far, they often leave the community split. And that's what's happening as of this very moment. So some new information leaked out on their website a little early, revealing that new heroes will be locked behind their battle pass. Now, we don't know exactly how everything works regarding this Battle Pass yet, but it appears you'll have two separate options on how you want to unlock these heroes. You can either play the game completely free and unlock characters by putting time into the game, unlocking XP and all that good type of stuff. However, if you want to just bypass all that, you can instead purchase the Premium Battle Pass that will automatically unlock these new characters for you, alongside allowing you to unlock its premium content like what you see with other Battle Passes in other games. This all leaked out on their website, and then later on, Overwatch's commercial leader essentially confirmed this will in fact be the case. You can actually take a look over here at his tweet where he says, addressing some incomplete info posted early about our Overwatch 2 Battle Pass. We'll be sharing all details ahead of launch, but want to confirm that new Overwatch 2 heroes will be available on the free track of the Battle Pass. So yeah, this basically confirms that leak, and fans, they're not thrilled about this. I mean, on one side, Overwatch 2 is a free-to-play game. I mean, we do have to keep that in mind. But players of the first game have been used to these heroes all being available day one. And that is incredibly important considering this is a competitive game, and heroes are the main selling point. There's actually team compositions when it comes to Overwatch. You have to consider that. And there's also counters. And if you don't have a specific character unlocked, that does put you and your team at a disadvantage. That's a very real problem. But it looks like Blizzard instead, they're focusing on how they can maximize their revenue. Now, I do understand they have to monetize it somehow. Again, it's a free-to-play game. But I don't like this. Honestly, if they go into this direction, I hope they just give an option to purchase the game outright. So that way, all seasons, you'll just have the new heroes day one. If they do that, I'm on board. But I don't like this free-to-play direction that they're taking so far. Hopefully, though, my concern will be alleviated soon. I mean, again, we don't have all the exact details as of yet, but yeah, I really do want this game to turn out to be great and just bring it back to its apex. As a bit of a side note, though, a new Overwatch hero did leak out online, though I'm not going to share that on my channel, but if you want to look up the name Kiriko, you'll find her pretty quick, and she looks pretty cool. Let's go and get into those showcases, though, because we do have two very notable events that could happen next week. One for Xbox, and then the other for that highly rumored Nintendo Direct. That's the one I know a lot of you all are very, very excited about. Now, we'll first kind of talk about Xbox just because this is 100% confirmed, and that's for a new ID at Xbox event that will take place on September 14th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. So this is one of their indie showcases, and it does sound like that they're finally, yes, finally listening to some of that criticism that they've received. They are partnering with Twitch once again, which has not been a great pairing in my opinion, but unlike their previous partnerships, they're actually making this into a more condensed event. They did confirm that it will be about 90 minutes long, thankfully. Now, the reason I say that is because they've partnered up a few times before, and no joke, they were like 3 hours long, and just they were really hard to watch for fans. I mean, they do typically have a lot of good and interesting games at these showcases, but the pacing and the length was just far too much to watch, so I am thrilled that they cut back on the time here. Just respect your viewers is all I'm saying. Nonetheless, though, what you should expect to be here are independent games and a lot of future Xbox Game Pass games. I will watch this myself and give you the highlights in case you miss it. There's why you subscribe. But they did confirm a few games that will be here. That will include updates for Metal Hellsinger, You Suck at Parking, and then you have Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. So if any of those games interest you, definitely tune in, and I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of surprises here as well. Again, all this is happening on September 14th. Now, as for Nintendo, over the last 24 hours, there's been some confusion regarding that heavily rumored Nintendo Direct that's supposedly happening next week. Now, allegedly, this Direct will include a big Zelda blowout. Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess, and even a Metroid Prime Remaster are all expected to be here. So without a doubt, there's a lot of excitement surrounding the showcases. I think there very much should be. And by all intents and purposes, it appears that this showcase will officially be announced next week. However, there was a big rumor going around yesterday that claimed that it could possibly be delayed. Yeah, I guess we're talking about a rumor on top of a rumor by this point, but that's because Jeff Grubb posted this over on Twitter. According to Quarter Dan on Twitch/GiantBomb, the Nintendo Direct has likely been delayed because of the Queen of England. Now, as many of you all are probably aware by this point, some breaking news did hit yesterday as Queen Elizabeth passed away at the age of 96. Rest in peace, and my heart does go out to anybody out there who was directly or indirectly affected by her passing. This is a big deal, though. I mean, this was a leader for one of the biggest nations in the world, being the UK, and there will absolutely be a lot of media coverage for this over the next week or so. And because of that, it really wouldn't be out of the realms of possibility that Nintendo could, yes, maybe delay their Direct. They have done things like this in the past. They delayed a Direct before because of a hurricane, and you can even look at them delaying Advance Wars earlier this year because of what's going on over in the Ukraine. So this certainly is possible, but there is actually a little bit more to this story than just that. Jeff Grubb did later on post an update saying this. Okay, it does sound like the Direct is still on. If it gets moved around, it will probably be a very minor adjustment. Expect it early next week. Now, this also reflects what Nate the Hate is saying, as he claims there's been no change of plans as of this moment. So, I mean, I guess we'll just have to kind of wait and see what happens here. I mean, it really hasn't even been officially confirmed yet. So we do have this rumor inception thing happening here, but I am crossing my fingers that it will happen next week. And I do think that it will. The way I personally look at this is that there's been a lot of talk about a Metroid Prime remaster releasing this year. And I mean, there seems to be a lot of confidence in that game specifically. So if that rumor is indeed true, then Nintendo's running out of time to announce this specific game. So I'm just going to go ahead and cross my fingers here and hope we get a Direct with some of those rumored games. A little thing about me is that the GameCube is actually one of my all-time favorite consoles. So, I mean, if the rumors turn out to be true, yeah, I'm pretty excited about this happening. So let's hope that it will indeed happen next week. Now, we do also have another controversial PlayStation topic to talk about today because I guess that's just what they do now. I don't know, man. They just keep stepping all over themselves. I actually get tired of reporting on it. I'd much prefer them to come out with their own showcase and start hyping up what they do best, and that's making great first-party games. But instead, we get to talk about their PR and business decisions that almost seemingly feels like they're taking advantage of their consumers. And that's what's happening today. So they just released a new PlayStation 5 revision, which on the surface is not that big of a deal. I mean, they've done this before, and it's not really all that uncommon in the console space. But the timing of this is kind of the issue here. We'll get into that here in just a second, but first, let's take a look at this revision. So this is coming from Austin Evans, and this time we're not talking about a possible fire, but in this case, he stripped down the console, and as you can see here in this picture, the new PlayStation 5 revision is quite a bit different. It is the console in the middle, and it's pretty easy to see that it has a completely different and smaller motherboard. According to Austin Evans, it also has a smaller heatsink, better power consumption, and even has a better shield for the solid-state drive. So this is all great news on paper, but the timing of this revision, like I said before, is what's leading to some of the backlash. It is believed that this revision was to more or less reduce the cost of manufacturing, which that does make sense. That's what a lot of these revisions are for. But if that's true, well, that would mean that the PlayStation 5 is actually cheaper to make, but consumers are actually paying more. So how exactly does all that work out? You would think by lowering cost, that would allow them to, at the very least, keep the price of the PlayStation 5 the same. But as we all know, Sony instead increased prices in several regions. So yeah, this at the very least is not a good look for Sony, which apparently is something that I just have to keep reiterating. I mean, this is a problem. It's like they're taking advantage of their consumers, and it comes off as a little greedy. And this has been a trend with them since, well, Jim Ryan took over as PlayStation boss. This generation alone, they've increased the price of their games. They charged to upgrade PlayStation 4 games to the PlayStation 5. They tried to hide the fact that you could get Horizon Forbidden West cheaper on the PlayStation 4. They charged $70 for The Last of Us Part 1, despite it releasing like 3 times in the last 10 years. And now they're also increasing the price of the PlayStation 5. I mean, you just keep seeing this type of stuff. I mean, I love their games, but their business decisions is just, you know, as a fan, I'm ready for somebody to come in and get Jim Ryan out of there. I guess it is what it is. But again, as a fan, it's concerning for consumers. Meanwhile, Mr. Jim Ryan wants to play victim in this whole Call of Duty thing. Give me a break. You regulators out there, this is what you're supposed to be focusing on. You're supposed to protect the consumers, not the company's market lead. It is what it is, I guess. Let's go and take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, will you play The Witcher 3 when it gets its next generation upgrade? And as you can see here, 38% of you all said yes, you will replay it. 18% of you said yes, you will play it for the first time, which means 56% of you will be playing that next generation upgrade. We'll get into that in a second. But 27% of you said no, you're not interested, and 14% of you said you're not sure yet. So there's actually even more of you that might play it. But yes, that is great news for this next generation upgrade. And I mean, now we just gotta kind of wait to see what this upgrade will include. Is it going to be a big enhancement, or is it just going to be some small minor tweaks? I am ready to see this myself, because The Witcher 3 is an absolutely fantastic game. There's a reason that so many people love this game. I think it's one of the best games that released last generation. I had that when probably 10 or 15 of my top 10 lists, at that #1 spot, because I do believe it's that good. It's really an all-time great RPG, and this next-gen upgrade should theoretically make it a little bit more future-proof. Now, we still need to see it for ourselves, no doubt about that, but I'm with you all here. I might replay this game myself, and I've already played through this game a couple times, but for some reason, I've yet to complete its DLC expansions, despite them being viewed as very, very good. I've actually started it various times, but for whatever reason, I always get sidetracked and eventually play a different game instead. So I want to finally complete the Blood and Wine expansion with this upgrade here. The results here, though, are just so telling. The Witcher 3 is just such a beloved game, and it will be very interesting to see where CD Projekt Red takes this franchise next. I'll just kind of say this, though, I'm excited to see for myself. Anyways, though, that's it for this episode, but if you liked the video, don't forget to bell notification and subscribe button for more content just like this. Also, if you'd like to support the channel through Patreon, thank you for making this content possible. Peace out.